This video is going to show you how to complete page 37, number 1 out of your math book. So you can go ahead on your own and read this lesson summary if you haven't already. After reading the lesson summary, you probably saw this right here. And what I want to do is I want to take a minute and substitute actual numbers in for these variables, so hopefully you understand it a little bit better, okay? So what you see here is you see that there is a negative that's right there in the middle, like it matches the fraction bar. So when you see an instance like that, you can pick whether or not you want to attach that negative to the 20 or to the 30, okay? You can keep it like this, but if you have to, for some reason, divide or something, you can attach that negative to either one of them, but not both. So here's what I mean by that. You can make this a negative 20 over a positive 30, and these are equivalent, even though this doesn't have parentheses. You can also make it a positive 20 divided by a negative 30, okay? So those three are all equivalent to each other. Here's something that you can't do. You can't go, oh, I'm going to make them both negative. Okay? You can't do that. That's not equal to it. So that's what that symbol right there means. Let me go ahead and show you why. When I go negative 20 divided by 30, so you get this negative decimal right here, okay? And when we go a positive 20 divided by negative 30, you will get this, see the exact same thing. However, if you go a negative 20 divided by a negative 30, you get a positive answer, okay? So that's what makes this not equal to these three over here. These three are all equivalent. This is not, okay? So let's try another one right here. You see how we have a negative just right in the middle? You can pick either one. You can make it a negative 16 over a positive 2. You can make it a positive 16 over a negative 2. What helps here is knowing this. Look, negative 16 divided by a positive 2, that's equal to a negative 8, because a negative divided by a positive is a negative. Here, 16 divided by a negative 2 also gives you negative 8, because a positive divided by a negative gives you a negative, okay? Now let's go ahead and see some examples without the parentheses. It's the same kind of thing. You could pretend there's parentheses there. It doesn't matter. You can make this a negative 50 over a positive 5, a positive 50 over a negative 5, and again you'll get that they're all three equivalent, okay? I can even throw in some parentheses. Okay, so look at this example down here. I want you to determine which one is not equivalent to the rest. Okay, look how they're written. Okay, which one does not belong? I'm going to make this negative 4 over positive 5. Negative divided by a positive gives me a negative answer. So I know that's going to be a negative answer. This one I can attach it to either one. I can make it a negative 4 divided by a positive 5 or a positive 4 divided by a negative 5. Either way, I'm going to have a negative answer. Here's a positive divided by a negative. I'm going to have a negative answer. Oh, a negative divided by a negative. I'm going to have a positive answer. So I know for sure this one's not going to belong, okay? Right here, that negative's in the middle, so I can make it a negative 4 over a positive 5 or a positive 4 over a negative 5. Either way, my answer is going to be negative. Right here, same thing. A negative divided by positive is a negative. Positive divided by a negative is a negative. And here's kind of a tricky one, okay? So look at the parentheses first. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. So inside right here is a positive 4/5. Okay, now we're at a scenario where you can decide you can make it a negative 4 over a positive 5 or a positive 4 over a negative 5. Either way, your answer will be a negative. Okay, so the one that doesn't belong is the one where we switch them both to negatives. Do number 1, and it's composed of columns A, B, C, and D. You'll notice that we're dividing right here. We're dividing some integers, and whenever you're dividing positive or negative numbers, whether it be fractions, decimals, or integers, you can remember this thing right here that I've shown you, okay? And this little tic-tac-toe chart only works for multiplication and division. When you're reading it from left to right, like a positive times a negative gives you a negative answer, that's multiplication, okay? A negative times a positive gives you a negative answer. A negative times a negative gives you a positive answer. For the sake of these problems right here, they're all divisions. So positive divided by negative is a negative divided by positive is a negative, and a negative divided by a negative gives you a positive answer. So for column A, we have a positive divided by a positive, which you should hopefully already know, and that's 12. Here we got a negative divided by a negative, so it's this column. Negative divided by a negative gives you a positive answer. We got a negative divided by a positive, so negative divided by positive gives you negative. 12 as your answer. And then we got a positive divided by a negative, so it's going to look, we're going to look at this column right here and get a negative answer, okay? All right, so for the remainder of the problems, I want you to try them on your own, and please keep this in mind, okay? You need to be able to recreate this little tic-tac-toe chart just in case you ever forget how to divide positive and negative numbers or multiply positive and negative numbers. I'm going to show you the answers for the rest of this. Don't just copy it down. Do the work first and then check your answer, okay? So here's the remaining answers. All right, bye.